Hey everyone, welcome back to L2 Games for another skin ranking video. Today we're going to be ranking some Fortnite skins. Skywalker Week has come and gone in Fortnite, and with it came 3 brand new Star Wars skins, giving us a total of 15 now in the game. So today we're going to go through and rank them all from worst to best. Now before we get started, I do have a few criteria that I'm ranking them on, including how good the skin looks, how important or iconic the character is, and how well they fit into Fortnite overall. And by that I mean, can I picture this character running around with an assault rifle, gunning people down on the island, and whether I feel like maybe they're a little bit too bulky or not. So with that out of the way, let's get started. Starting at number 15, we have Zori Bliss. This one is a bit of a head scratcher for me because I genuinely don't understand why this character was included as a Fortnite skin. She has less than 5 minutes of total screen time in all of Star Wars. She never plays that important of a role, and the skin itself is just kind of boring. There's nothing about her look that really stands out too much other than her helmet, which itself looks kind of goofy. So overall, just not a very iconic character, not very memorable, and a pretty boring looking skin. And like I said before, I'm really not sure why Zori Bliss was included in the game, especially over characters like Poe Dameron. I imagine there was some kind of licensing issue with Oscar Isaac's likeness or something like that, because I just don't see Zori Bliss making it in over Poe. I would even have rather had a C-3PO skin or Captain Phasma over Zori Bliss. So that's why I've got Zori Bliss at number 15. At number 14, we've got maybe my favorite character from the sequel trilogy, and that is Finn. I really liked Finn. I thought his character had a lot of potential. I was really interested to see where his arc was going, and they kind of just threw it all out the window, especially with the Rise of Skywalker. But as far as his skin in Fortnite, it's just a really boring looking skin. It's probably the least iconic look of all of Finn's different outfits throughout the sequel trilogy. I think it would have worked better with Poe's jacket. And I know this was released alongside The Rise of Skywalker, but I think maybe including different style options for Finn's appearances from the different movies would have been a better option than just giving us this one kind of lackluster skin. So that's why I've got Finn at number 14. At number 13, we've got Rey, who really isn't my favorite Star Wars character, but the skin looks pretty cool. Of course, here she's got her Jedi robes from The Rise of Skywalker, and again, I know this came out alongside The Rise of Skywalker, but I wish we'd been given a style option for her Last Jedi appearance with the darker gray robes. I think that would have looked a lot cooler, but still, this one isn't bad. I really like the cloth physics with her robe and her hood kind of bouncing around behind her. Now that said, as a character who mostly uses a lightsaber, I feel like it's a little weird to be running around with her shooting people, so to me that's kind of jarring and kind of takes away from how well they fit into Fortnite overall. So for those reasons, I've got Rey at number 13. At number 12, and it absolutely pains me to do this because he's one of my favorite all-time Star Wars characters, but I have to put him here, Obi-Wan Kenobi. And the biggest reason why I have him this low on my list is because this is easily the worst look for Obi-Wan Kenobi in all of Star Wars. He doesn't look like the stoic Jedi Knight we're used to. More than anything, he just looks like a space drifter. He looks completely homeless. And to be fair, he is living in a cave at the start of the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. But that said, he only even wears this outfit for half of the series. I also wish we'd been given more style options, like maybe with a hood up, or that they'd waited until later in the series when he's actually wearing something that resembles Jedi robes. But nope, instead we got homeless Obi-Wan. He does get some bonus points for coming with the Desert Essentials backbling, which has a little mini moisture evaporator and his lightsaber and his knife on it, as well as a harvesting tool, which is that knife which he uses in maybe 2 scenes in the series. And again, because he's someone who I'm used to seeing use a lightsaber rather than going around gunning people down, it kind of detracts from how well he fits in with the game. So that's why we've got Obi-Wan Kenobi at number 12. At number 11, we've got Fennec Shand. Fennec Shand is one of the newer characters in Star Wars, but she's pretty badass and I really like her as a character. If you don't know, she is sort of Boba Fett's right hand in the Book of Boba Fett, and also appears in The Mandalorian as one of the bounty hunters that's coming after Grogu. But if you've seen the Book of Boba Fett, you know Fennec Shand is a badass hand-to-hand fighter. She's got some crazy parkour skills, and her design is really cool here. My biggest gripe with this skin is that we don't have a style option to take her helmet off. But overall, I think she's got a really cool look with the black robes. And as a bounty hunter who runs around with a blaster shooting people, she really fits into Fortnite well, so Fennec Shand at number 11. At number 10, we've got Kylo Ren. Now, Kylo Ren is probably the best character to come out of the sequel trilogy, even if he's not my favorite, and he's definitely the most iconic. Of course, he kind of seems like a bit of a Vader wannabe with the mask, but that's okay because I still think the design is really cool. For the Fortnite skin, we've got the Rise of Skywalker version with his repaired mask, which just looks awesome with all the cracked red glowing bits on it. And as a bonus, you also get Kylo's cape back bling, which gives you the option to have a hood up or hood down variant of Kylo Ren, or you can just take the cape off altogether. So he's got a decent handful of style options. He's a pretty iconic character. The one thing for me, again, is as a lightsaber user, it's kind of awkward to see him running around with a gun, but still not a bad skin, so Kylo Ren comes in at number 10. At number 9, we've got the Sith Trooper. Now this was kind of a tough call, and I know a lot of people really like the Sith Trooper, and so do I, but there are a lot of other skins that I felt like were a little bit better than this, so it was a very tough call for the rest of these. The Sith Trooper is at number 9. Of course, the First Order Stormtrooper armor I think looks really cool and really sleek. I'm not as big a fan of the red version of it, even though I'm usually a sucker for black and red. But that said, it still looks really cool, and as a bonus, you get the Sith Trooper blaster back bling, but it can't quite top the original for me. So at number 8, we've got the original Imperial Stormtrooper. Now, these are the Stormtroopers I grew up with, so to me, this always stands out as something that's really iconic in Star Wars. Even if they're kind of just nameless, faceless cannon fodder, the Stormtrooper armor itself is so iconic. I think if you ask anyone where that's from, even if they haven't seen Star Wars, they know it's from Star Wars. And as a Fortnite skin, it just works. Obviously, as soldiers, these are the kind of guys who are running around with guns, shooting at people all the time. Whether or not they're hitting those people is another story, but for that reason, I've got the Imperial Stormtrooper at number 8. At number 7, we've got Chrysanthemum. Now, I know this might be a little bit controversial, but hear me out on it. I know he's kind of a thick boy, but Wookiees in general, as a species, I think are iconic enough that even though this isn't the Wookiee that we all know and love, he's still instantly recognizable as a Star Wars character. On top of that, how can you not think that this is the most badass looking Wookiee ever? He's got those spiked shoulder pads, the 2 bandoliers strapped across his chest, he has spiked brass knuckles. Like, this guy just looks intimidating as hell. And again, because he's a bounty hunter, it's not weird to see him running around with guns and shooting people. That's kind of in character for him, so he fits in really well with Fortnite, despite being a little bit bigger than some of the other skins. But I still really like Chrysanthemum, so we've got him at number 7. At number 6, we've got Leia Organa. Princess Leia is one of the most iconic characters in all of Star Wars. She's instantly recognizable, especially with her classic side bun hairstyle, and she's also just a really badass character. She's a fighter, she's all about action, she's never been the character to just stand by and let things happen around her, so I really like Leia as a character. As far as her looks as a Fortnite skin, we've of course got her classic look from A New Hope, which, I mean, it's a little bit boring. It's just pretty much a plain white dress and her veil, which you can toggle on and off. But she's also got her bounty hunter disguise from Return of the Jedi, which looks really cool. And of course you can toggle the headgear on and off and that, which if you have it off, changes her hairstyle. So she's got a lot of different style options, and especially with the bounty hunter disguise, it looks really cool. So because it's a good looking skin, and because Leia is such a badass and iconic character, I've got to put her at number 6. Okay, so now we're entering the top 5, which means some really tough decisions have to be made, so just know that all of these are very, very close and could honestly probably change depending on the day. But kicking off the top 5, at number 5, we've got Han Solo. Now, I kind of wanted to put this skin higher, but as a lot of people in the community have already pointed out, there's some issues with this skin. His face, and in particular his eyes and eyebrows, are a little bit wonky, especially when you do certain emotes. It kind of messes the skin up and gives him a bit of a lazy eye. On top of that, although we have 3 style options for Han Solo, none of those options is his look from The Empire Strikes Back, which is easily my favorite look for Han, so I was a little disappointed by that. But that said, he is still one of the most badass and iconic characters in Star Wars, and I really do love his design, especially his A New Hope outfit. He's also kind of a gunslinger, so I feel like he fits in really well with Fortnite. He's again that kind of character who you could see running around shooting at people in a battle royale, so I've got Han Solo at number 5. At number 4, whether you know his name or not, you know that he's the bad guy from Star Wars. We've got Darth Vader, who is not only the most iconic character in all of Star Wars, but arguably one of the most iconic characters in all of cinema and pop culture history. The reason he's not higher is because Darth Vader, as someone who exclusively uses a lightsaber, it just seems kind of weird to have him running around shooting at people. He's also a little bit bulky, especially with his cape and his shoulder pads. It just makes him seem very wide, and so he feels a little bigger than some of the other skins, even if his actual body isn't necessarily that much bigger. So we've got Darth Vader in at number 4. At number 3, we've got Luke Skywalker. This is what I was hoping we would get with the Obi-Wan Kenobi skin. A Jedi with multiple selectable style options, including a hooded look and his Jedi robes. Of course, his first outfit is his farm boy outfit from A New Hope, but even that in itself is really iconic. You look at that, and to me at least, the first thing I picture is that image of Luke standing out by the edge of the Lars homestead, looking out at the binary sunset on Tatooine, which is just such a memorable image. And of course, as the main protagonist from the original Star Wars trilogy, Luke Skywalker is obviously a very iconic character. Now, I know some people might take issue with some elements of these skins, like for example, with his Return of the Jedi skin, he's got the shaggy hair, which isn't really accurate. His belt is also a little bit off, and with the cloaked outfit, his cloak should be black, but I actually really like the brown. I think it looks really cool, and overall I think this skin just looks really, really sleek and really awesome. It's a lot of fun to use. So we've got Luke Skywalker at number 3. At number 2, we've got a character whose design was so cool that it literally inspired the creation of an entire culture within the Star Wars franchise, and that is Boba Fett. If you've seen his return on The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett, you'll know that those shows finally did Boba Fett justice, where instead of going out like an absolute chump on Jabba's sail barge, we see him in combat, just taking out stormtroopers left and right. Of course, Tamura Morrison is a little up there in age, and so he's not necessarily in the best of shape, and Boba Fett looks a little bit chunkier than he did in the original trilogy, but I still really love this design. I especially love that they swapped out the gray flight suit under his armor for this black clothing, and the little almost sort of tailcoat thing he has going on in the back. It just gives him a very westerny vibe that I really, really like. Of course, being sort of the bounty hunter from Star Wars, he's someone who it's not at all jarring to see him running around with a gun shooting at people, so he fits in nicely with Fortnite, even though the skin is a little bit thicker than some of the other ones. Of course, he also comes with his jetpack as a back bling, a built-in emote where his targeting computer comes down, and he's also reactive, so if you aim down the sights with him, his targeting computer also comes down in those situations. So overall, a very, very cool looking skin. One of the most badass characters in Star Wars, especially with how he's been treated in recent Star Wars projects like The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. Unfortunately, it's not quite enough to top the number 1 spot, which goes to the Mandalorian himself. He might be a relatively new character within the Star Wars franchise, but he is already one of my favorites. He's probably the coolest and most badass non-Force user, non-lightsaber wielding character in Star Wars. Of course, he's got the Mandalorian armor, which, as we said with Boba Fett, is just very, very cool looking and very iconic. Now, much like Boba Fett, the Mandalorian, especially in the context of the show, has very much a Western vibe to him. He feels like a lone gunslinger, kind of reminiscent of Clint Eastwood in the Fistful of Dollars trilogy. So I really like him as a character. And as a Fortnite skin, of course, he fits in well as a gunslinger. On top of that, he also has a ton of style options because you can swap out each individual piece of his Beskar armor with his original armor. And really, that just adds to how awesome this skin is. So for me, it checks all the boxes. He's an iconic and badass character with a really cool design. The skin looks great, and he just fits in well with Fortnite. So I have to give the #1 spot for Star Wars skins in Fortnite to the Mandalorian. As always, let us know in the comments what you think of this list. Do you agree or do you disagree? Just remember to keep it civil. There's no need to be toxic about it. And if you do disagree, let us know how you would rank Star Wars skins in Fortnite, as well as what Star Wars skins you'd love to see come to the game. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next one.